One of the most amazing things about Hollywood movies is the tough guys. The glitz and gloss of Hollywood are known the world over, but the brooding, hard-as-steel tough guy is one of Hollywood's most admired exports. Whether heroes, anti-heroes, or downright villains, we all know and love the roles these men played. These men didn't just play tough on screen, they were tough in real life. The kind of man who could break your jaw with a single punch and then calmly complete filming the scene. So, join us for today's video, as we're going to look at 15 of the toughest actors in Hollywood history, and trust me, the number 4 on our list will surprise you. Number 15, Charles Bronson. Before becoming one of cinema's most iconic tough guys, Charles Bronson survived a life of hardship that would have shattered most men. Born Charles Bukinski, he grew up in brutal poverty, one of 15 siblings in a Pennsylvania coal mining family. By age 10, he was already laboring in the mines to help feed the household, spending his youth in suffocating tunnels deep underground. Bronson rarely spoke about his past, but once said, "I came from violent streets and saw death up close." His famous look, the stony glare, tight-lipped scowl, and steely eyes, wasn't a performance. It was the natural armor of a man who knew what survival really meant. During World War II, he served as a B-29 gunner and flew 25 missions over Japan, earning a Purple Heart. After the war, he worked over 50 jobs, from boxer to cook, before acting. Bronson didn't just play men who could hurt you, he was the kind of man you hoped never would. Number 14, John Wayne. John Wayne's tough guy image wasn't some studio invention. It came from grit and relentless endurance. Before the world knew him as Duke, Marion Morrison was raised amid the harsh landscapes of Iowa and California, where hard work wasn't a choice, it was survival. Standing 6 feet 4 inches and built like a linebacker, Wayne earned a football scholarship to USC, impressing coaches with his brute strength. Early in Hollywood, he worked behind the scenes as a prop man and stunt performer, often lifting equipment that took 2 or 3 men to move. Even well into middle age, Wayne performed his own stunts, including a dangerous horse fall during the Alamo that cracked his ribs. He taped them up and kept filming. Sadly, exposure to nuclear fallout during The Conqueror may have led to the cancer that later took his life, yet he kept acting through surgeries and pain. His strength wasn't just physical, it was unyielding and real to the core. Number 13, Audi Murphy. Well, now let's talk about arguably the most genuinely tough actor in Hollywood history, a man whose real-life feats would sound fictional if they weren't so well documented. Audi Murphy. When you think of tough guys, you might picture John Wayne or Clint Eastwood. But the most lethal man to grace the silver screen was a baby-faced, 5 feet 5 inches actor so unassuming, directors struggled to cast him in action roles. Before Hollywood, Murphy was the most decorated U.S. combat soldier of World War II. At just 19, he held off an entire German company in France, wounded, alone, and out of ammo, then led a counterattack. That act earned him the Medal of Honor. In total, he received 28 military awards before turning 21. He destroyed tanks, stormed machine gun nests, and fought through injuries. Yet Hollywood couldn't believe the kid was real. In To Hell and Back, he reenacted his own heroics, toned down, because producers thought audiences wouldn't believe the truth. Murphy never pretended to be dangerous. He was. Number 12, Sterling Hayden. Before Hollywood ever knew his name, Sterling Hayden had already lived the kind of life most actors only pretended to. By 22, he was a seasoned sailor, commanding ships across global waters with grit, nerve, and sharp intelligence. When World War II broke out, Hayden didn't just enlist, he joined the elite OSS, the precursor to the CIA. Disguised as a Yugoslav partisan, he smuggled weapons to anti-Nazi fighters behind enemy lines. He wasn't just playing war hero roles, he was one, earning a Silver Star and a captain's rank. Despite his screen presence, towering, rough-edged, and magnetic, Hayden saw acting as just a paycheck. His most iconic roles in The Asphalt Jungle, Johnny Guitar, and The Killing made him a staple of gritty noir, but his heart always belonged to the sea. He loathed Hollywood's artificiality, abandoning fame multiple times for sailing voyages. In his raw autobiography, Wanderer, Hayden confessed to past mistakes, including testifying before HUAC, calling himself a rat. Like other sugar-coated stars, Hayden was very honest and unapologetically real. This guy lived without any illusions. Number 11. Steve McQueen. Well, Steve McQueen wasn't just Hollywood's king of cool. He was a full-blown daredevil whose off-screen life often outshone his films. After a turbulent childhood filled with abuse and abandonment, McQueen ran away at 14 and later joined the Marines. He was demoted 7 times for defiance and once spent 41 days in the brig for going AWOL. But he shaped up. He even saved 5 Marines during an Arctic training disaster. After his service, McQueen bounced from job to job, lumberjack, oil rigger, carnival barker, before finding acting. But fame didn't tame him. He raced motorcycles and cars competitively, risking injury and reputation. In The Great Escape, he did all his motorcycle stunts except one, which insurers blocked. In The Sand Pebbles, he nearly drowned. When told he was on the Manson family's hit list, he didn't hire security. He carried a loaded Magnum. McQueen didn't perform toughness for the camera. He lived it, breathed it, and sometimes nearly died from it. And he is one of my favorite actors. Number 10. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum's signature cool wasn't cultivated as most people think. It came from a life of raw hardship, violence, and survival. Orphaned young, he became a Depression-era drifter, hopping trains and working brutal jobs across the country. He labored as a ditch digger, coal miner, and briefly as a pro boxer under the name Jimmy Mitchum, developing both his hardened demeanor and that famously broken nose. His time on a Georgia chain gang after a vagrancy arrest gave him an early education in pain, silence, and grit. Unlike other actors who performed toughness, Mitchum didn't have to perform anything. He exuded it. Directors said he never needed to find a role. He just showed up, and the authenticity was already there. In 1948, he was arrested for marijuana, and without a word of complaint, he calmly served. He was asked about his acting years later. Mitchum quipped, "I have 2 styles, with and without a horse." Mitchum didn't pretend to be hardened. Life had already done that job for him. Number 9. Clint Walker. Clint Walker's path to stardom was nothing like the usual Hollywood climb. He left school early and took on work that broke most men: oil fields, riverboats, and bouncing in rough bars. He served in the Merchant Marine during World War II, braving dangerous waters before returning home and bouncing between jobs. A talent agent spotted him working as a security guard in Vegas, which led to his casting as Cheyenne Body in Cheyenne. The show demanded real toughness, endless riding, fistfights, and filming in brutal outdoor settings. Unlike most, Walker insisted on doing his own stunts. But what truly proved his resilience came in 1971, when a ski pole pierced his heart during a freak accident. He was declared dead, until he wasn't. Months later, he returned to filming. That comeback wasn't luck, it was grit. Through every hardship, Walker never softened. He kept the same presence and physical power, both on screen and in the life he built behind it. Number 8. Lee Marvin. Lee didn't just portray intimidating men, he was one. Long before Hollywood, he served in the U.S. Marines during World War II and saw some of the bloodiest combat in the Pacific. At the Battle of Saipan, he was shot in the back and had his sciatic nerve damaged so badly that he walked with a limp for the rest of his life. For his service, he earned a Purple Heart. Marvin never glamorized combat. "I got shot in the ass and sent home," he said bluntly. Anyone who says they enjoyed war is either lying or a fool. This brutal honesty shaped his screen presence. When Marvin acted out violence, it wasn't stylized. It was fast, ugly, and real. He knew what it looked like. He knew what it felt like. Off-screen, even other actors were wary of him. His reputation wasn't built on image. It came from experience. Lee was one of the best actors of its era. Number 7. George Mahares. Breaking into Hollywood was a steep climb for George Mahares, and he had to push harder than most. At a time when actors were boxed in by their appearance and ethnicity, he fought to be seen beyond the limits. After years of bit parts, he landed his breakout as Buzz Murdoch in Route 66, 1960, playing a sharp-witted drifter crossing America. Unlike many polished stars of the era, Mahares brought a lived-in edge to the screen. His toughness wasn't crafted, it came naturally. Filming on location every week meant grueling schedules, harsh weather, and constant travel. But the real test came in 1962 when he contracted hepatitis. Producers pressured him to keep filming, but Mahares made the painful choice to walk away to protect his health. That decision cost him leading roles, but proved he wasn't for sale. He later returned to TV and film, choosing roles on his own terms. Then this guy vanished without any comeback. Number 6. David Niven. David Niven's route to stardom took a hard left through military service. He trained at Sandhurst and became a commissioned officer in the British Army, but chafed under the rigid system and left for the US in search of something more. He arrived in Hollywood with no connections and scraped by with extra work. Just as his film career was rising, World War II broke out, and Niven did what few stars dared. He left Hollywood behind and rejoined the British Army, serving as a commando in classified missions, including D-Day prep. Fellow soldiers praised his nerve and leadership under fire. When asked why he returned, his answer was blunt. "I had an obligation." After the war, he had to rebuild his career from scratch, something most actors couldn't pull off. He starred in A Matter of Life and Death and The Bishop's Wife, becoming a suave icon. Even as ALS later took his body, Niven never lost his wit, pride, or backbone. He was a real legend. Number 5. Kirk Douglas. Long before becoming one of Hollywood's greatest stars, Kirk Douglas, born Isur Danielovich, clawed his way up from abject poverty with pure willpower. The child of Jewish immigrants, he grew up so poor his family often went without food. His first income came from selling snacks to mill workers. He wrestled competitively, earning a scholarship to St. Lawrence University. This wasn't entertainment wrestling, it was a hard, punishing sport. In World War II, Douglas served as a communications officer on a submarine chaser, facing death in tight, hostile waters. An injury led to his medical discharge in 1944. What made Douglas different wasn't just his physical strength, it was his mental ferocity. He trained with ex-gladiators for Spartacus and did deadly stunts himself. When injured during a fall, he returned to the set 2 days later. Years later, he survived a helicopter crash, a broken back, and a massive stroke, then wrote a book about recovery. Number 4. William Smith. William Smith wasn't built in a gym. He was forged in real life. Raised on a cattle ranch, he developed his strength through hard work, not training montages. He earned a master's in Russian studies, spoke fluent Russian, German, and French, and served in the Air Force during the Korean War, where he flew classified missions. His military file, mostly sealed, but those who served with him called him sharp, silent, and dependable under pressure. Hollywood found him after. Standing 6 feet 2 inches with a sculpted frame, he dominated every set he walked onto. He was a champion arm wrestler and trained in boxing and martial arts. In Any Which Way You Can, his bare-knuckle brawl with Clint Eastwood wasn't movie magic, it was grit on full display. Smith did over 300 film and TV roles, no body doubles, no excuses. He could bench over 500 pounds and act circles around others. William Smith wasn't just cast as the enforcer. He was the enforcer. Number 3. Charlton Heston. Charlton has earned his reputation for real toughness through war, endurance, and discipline. During World War II, Heston served as an aerial gunner in the Army Air Forces. Though modest about his service, he once said, "When you're 15,000 feet up in a B-25 and they're shooting at you, it tends to focus the mind." In Ben-Hur, he trained for months to master chariot racing, suffering multiple injuries but refusing a stunt double. In the agony and the ecstasy, he spent hours with his arms raised to mimic Michelangelo's ceiling painting, enduring severe muscle spasms. Even when his body screamed, Heston never broke character. Co-stars recalled him standing in 70-pound armor, filming for hours without complaint. Off-screen, he showed the same fortitude, marching with Martin Luther King Jr., later enduring controversy for his political views. Whether you agreed with him or not, Heston's integrity and pain tolerance were unshakable. Number 2. Christopher Lee. Lee didn't just play powerful men, he was one. His real-life resume made his filmography look tame. Before he ever wore Dracula's cape, Lee served during World War II. He joined the RAF but was grounded for health reasons. So, he pivoted into military intelligence and was recruited into the Special Operations Executive, the shadowy branch of British intelligence handling sabotage and espionage behind Nazi lines. He rarely spoke of it, once replying, "Can you keep a secret? So can I." Post-war, Lee didn't come from privilege. He clawed his way into acting, grinding through uncredited roles. Standing 6 feet 5 inches, he was often seen as too much, but he kept showing up. His roles spanned from Dracula to Saruman to Count Dooku. He spoke multiple languages, fenced like a pro, and did his own sword fights well into his 80s. At 88, he dropped a heavy metal album. No stunt, no gimmick, just relentless drive. Lee didn't act intimidating. He was. Number 1. Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn's commanding presence wasn't learned in an acting school. It was earned through a lifetime of backbreaking work and real-world grit. Born in revolutionary Mexico, Quinn's early childhood was shaped by violence, fear, and escape. After his family fled to Los Angeles, he was thrown into hard labor before age 10. He built his muscular frame not in gyms, but on job sites as a butcher's assistant, construction worker, and teenage boxer. His nose, famously crooked, wasn't makeup. It was broken in a real fight. In Zorba the Greek, when he carried massive logs on the beach, he didn't fake it. Quinn lifted them with ease, shocking even the Greek laborers watching on set. Director Elia Kazan once said, "Tony doesn't act tough, he is." While others worried about a macho image, Quinn embraced vulnerability and strength in equal measure. He didn't pretend to be the working man, he was him. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very soon.